Like, I really feel this wanting to lean into, like, working on myself.
You should listen to your body. Listen to that.
But also, I do need to be more assertive in the dating world.
Yeah, and this isn't, like, this, to recap, you know, we started this episode talking about feeling confident and bold enough to, like, as a heterosexual female going to hit on a man. I think our non-professional advice could be applied across the board, no matter what gender you identify as or who you're interested in. But just for the purposes of condensing this, we're heterosexual females.
Yeah. Talking
about hitting on heterosexual men. And
I don't know. I was in love with that one dude who unfortunately does not like women.
It was so sad.
It's very unfortunate.
So but kind of bringing it all back together, I think, you know, we're not sitting here saying you need to go hit on men, like go slide into their DMs, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you're not ready, Kelly's sitting here saying like, I'm not really ready. Like, I'm just not feeling that right now. Then don't do it. If you're not ready, don't do it. But I think it's more just, if the opportunity presents itself and you want to, like, you're like, I really want to go talk to that guy or that girl, whatever. I get it, again, across the board. But like, I really want to go talk to that person. This was just more to say, like, don't be afraid to. Like, you have every tool, everything within inside of you to be that person, to be that confident ass female who's like, yeah, I'm gonna go talk to that person. I'm gonna go maybe don't ask for their number. Maybe you just go talk to them. Like,
just start with talking to them.
Literally. Like, yeah, I mean, again, depends on, like,
actually start with flirty eyes. Like, make some
eye contact across the room. Like, try to gauge, because if you're like, okay, also flirty eyes is not.
It's just trying to meet their eyes a few times.
Just make eye contact. Yeah, try to meet their eyes a few times. If they look back at you, this happened to me on Saturday, and I did get a number out of it. So
also, if you do make, okay, here's the key: is you make. This is what at least I do, and then I feel like,
let me hear you say it, and I'll let you know.
Okay, I think this is genuine though. Like, you make eye contact and you're like, okay, that person looked at me. Then you confirm that they were looking at you. So you glance again. Like, don't worry about what your face really looks like. Just try and, like, make some eyes. And if that happens again, you're like, this person is obviously looking at me as well. The third time, if they make eyes on you.
Check if you have food in your teeth. And check if you have toilet paper stuck to your shoe. Because that could be why they're looking at you.
Yes. Make some checks.
Just kidding.
But if you mean eyes 2 times, I feel like that's pretty, like, intentional at that point. The third time, you do a cute little smirk. You gotta, make sure.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, give them a little smirk, like, you make eye contact.
And then if they don't come over, they don't make eyes at you again, like, they're probably, I don't know, actually, at that point. But sometimes I do feel like if you smirk, they're like, oh, crap, like, wait, I have a girlfriend, or like.
Yeah, like, they might be like, oh, that wasn't what I really was just looking at.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you gotta play it by then. But you gotta give on the third one, like, a little, like, they smile. I feel like a lot of times they've come over.
Yeah. Or if they kind of, like, smile back, then you're like, okay, it
feels safe to make a move.
It feels safe. And then in that point, and, like, maybe they're really shy. Like, maybe they're super shy. I feel like I get this a lot, is, like, a lot of guys are really shy. I feel like we as women put men on a pedestal that they're supposed to be the manly man and ask me on a date, and they're like, men are assholes and they're confident and they're players, and, like, I feel like we come up with this idea
that it's their job,
that's who they are, that, like, we have assigned a persona to them and we don't even know them, and we forget that men can also be vulnerable. They can also be very scared or timid or shy, and so
especially if they think you're a beautiful human, they're gonna be like, how do I talk to her? Like
what do I say to this beautiful woman? And I think the eye contact and the smirking is a great way to gauge if they're interested, and, like, to also let them know, like, I'm interested, I'm not in a relationship. I think another way, if you can find a way to, like, walk past them. I do this all the time at bars and at restaurants.
Find a way to put yourself alone. If you're in a group and you've done this 3-time trick and they've smiled back at you, you need to find a way, like, go to the bar by yourself. Like, try to
go to the bar by yourself. If you, like, excuse yourself to go to the bathroom and try
to, like, walk
obviously
by.
Like, yeah, don't, like, if they're over here and the bathroom's over here, don't walk this way and then walk to the bathroom. Like, but try to find a way. I do this all the time. Like, if you can walk past them and, like, squeeze, like, I'll try to make it a point to, like, walk behind them and either, like, touch their arm, not creepy, just, like,
not touching skin,
like, touch their arm or, like, their side or their back and be like, oh my god, so sorry, like, just squeezing through. And, like, you're being super just, like, you're not like, hey, Shaylor, like, you're just like, oh, sorry, like, just trying to squeeze through. Perfect opportunity for them. And if
like,
you
create the opportunity.
Yeah, if you touch them and they recoil and they're like, ah, then you're like, okay, I misread the signs. But like, it creates the opportunity for them to be like, oh, no worries, like, let me clear the way for you. And then you can start and be like, yeah, if you wouldn't mind just following me around the bar the rest of the day and like clearing the path for me, that would be great. And
yeah.
Like, and he's like, oh, that's like, you know, and then boom, shakalaka, there's your conversation.
Or give him a compliment. Men love being everyone loves being complimented, but like men love a good
Again,
compliment.
this goes back
be like,
to,
oh, I like your shirt, and he's like, oh, thanks. Be like, yeah, it's hard to miss. Like something
like caught my eye the second I walked in, and he's like, what? And you're like,
don't say that if he's wearing like a freaking green Carhartt shirt though. Like that's like if they're wearing like a fun like
Tommy Bahama, like
yeah, like that's useful if they're actually wearing a fun shirt. But I won't say that if they're wearing Carhartt. God.
Why?
I mean, I love Carhartt, but if you're like, nice shirt, they're like, it's my Carhartt shirt.
Yeah, if they're wearing like a raggedy t-shirt. One, if they're like at a bar.
I'm just saying like something super plain and you're like love your shirt, it's hard to miss.
Like a white shirt, like a white Hanes t-shirt, and you're like, love your shirt. And he's like,
actually, that would be pretty funny if I was just wearing like a plain tank top and someone's like, love your shirt, and I'm like, thanks. He's like, I just wanted a reason to talk to you. I feel like I'm here for it.
Like, is that Hanes or Fruit of the Loom?
Wait, did we just come up with a new pickup line?
Like your shirt, is that Hanes or Fruit of the Loom?
Honestly, I like your fruit, your loom. I'm gonna go now.
No. I was gonna say, if you need help with pickup lines or you need some like hype woman energy,
okay, hype woman.
I could do good at hype woman.
Pickup lines.
We're gonna take a. We're gonna take a hard detour from dating. Actually, this is somewhat relevant to dating.
What?
Kelly was like talking to this guy.
Oh, and I'm gonna tell the thank you story.
That's that too. No, this is thank you. Kelly was like kind of dating this guy. He invited us to a party. He sent Kelly an address.
Oh, see, I go on dates.
Yeah. He sent Kelly the address, and we're like sitting in the car, and she goes, "Oh, this is weird. I think he gave me the wrong address." And I was like, why? And she's like, it's like not popping up. Like, it's not showing on maps. And I was like,
so dumb.
And I was like, oh, what's the address? And she goes, 123 Goal Eyeball.
And then I took it back immediately. I was like, no.
And I was
like gullible. In all fairness, it was 2 words though. It wasn't like gullible.
He spelled it.
I'm just saying, I'd obviously read
eyeball.
It. Yes.
123 Goal Eyeball. But she like says it out loud. She's like 123 Goal Eyeball, and I'm like,
and then Kelly immediately took it back. I was like, no.
Oh my god. Well, so then that's a great segue into we were driving home from downtown LA last week, and this person had a weird license plate. It was GTR PLAR. And so I'm not talking shit because I was reading it and I had no idea what it stood for. Like, I was like, GTR, like TPLR. Like, I was like, tire pressure level. Like, I'm like trying to figure out what this means. And Kelly goes, guitar. And I'm like, oh, guitar. Kelly. So the second she said guitar, I'm like, oh, I get it. But she goes, guitar plar. Kelly, you got the guitar part right. Guitar player. Guitar plar. What the hell is a guitar plar?
Joke's on you. It probably is guitar player. It's a fancy French player.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Right.
Fuck, I still have 1, 2, 3, go. Eyeball. Kelly.
So yeah, don't slide into Kelly's DMs if you need pickup lines.
Nope, definitely. What's new, baboon? Give me your phone.
No, false.
Trying to think of something witty.
But you know what? I
lean into the
authenticity. I was just gonna say, I'm really proud of Kelly for leaning into her authenticity. But I'm not gonna lie. The other day we were like talking about like our future partners, whatever, and I was like, you need to find someone just
so
so
weird.
goofy and weird, and
yeah.
she's like, yeah. And I'm
like, I've got problems, but being authentic is not one of them.
So I would just like to clear, I'm not judging, no shame. I just don't ask Kelly for pickup lines. The second thing that I wanted to just like say real quickly is also don't be afraid to reject someone.
I'm on fire.
Like, if you're not interested in someone, just tell them. Like, I think that's, and this is not like, I mean, obviously this is Paige and Kelly advice, but we've heard this from so many guy friends, and I've been so mindful of it, because I used to, like, I would go on a date with a guy and I didn't want to see him again, and I'm not a big ghoster, like, I don't really like to ghost people unless they're, like, just obnoxious or rude, or
like you've already said you're not interested in them,
and you keep going,
and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna
leave me alone. Yeah, but like, I don't owe anyone a response. However, I do want to be respectful of other people's, you know, time and energy and effort, and so I always tried to tell people if I'm not interested, but I used to lie all the time. Like, I would just be like, like, I'm dating someone else, like, sorry. And I feel like for the past couple years, I've been really good about, like, that was like when I was in my younger 20s, and I feel like the past couple years I've been really good about just saying, like, you're super awesome, I'm just not interested, and I wish you the best. And the amount of times that a guy has gotten back to me and been like, thank you so much for being honest, thank you for being upfront, I really appreciate it. It just fuels me more to keep doing it and just to keep being honest. And
because also I think that people don't have to think like, God, what did I do? What is like, if you leave them like with like a weird response, then it's, or like something that's just not, hey, straightforward, it does allow room for maybe the other person to overthink it, which is still on them. But as much clarity as you can give to someone, like, why not? I mean, you don't have to over explain yourself why you're not interested, but just being upfront. And then even too, like, so often I have told people if they've hit on me that if I wasn't interested, I'd be like, oh, I'm actually talking to someone. But then, like, I just feel like that's such a cop-out. Like, you could just say, like, oh, no, thank you. Like, that's just as... Yeah. I feel like if you keep going around, like, what if that person ends up being friends with another person that asks you out, and you're like, yeah, and then you see that person again, and they're like, I thought you were talking to someone. You're like, well, now the person I'm talking to is your friend. But I just feel like there's a certain amount of, like, it feels good to be honest, and there is something empowering about just saying, like, no, thank you, or I'm not interested, and... like, it's not, I don't know. I think it goes back to your self-love, your awareness, the respect that you have for yourself is like, I would appreciate the same from someone else that I was dating. Like, if I went on a date with a guy and he wasn't interested, I would just want him to tell me like, hey, I think you're super awesome, I'm just not interested. And I would appreciate that more than anything in the world. And so when I looking back, I realized like, I was lying to get myself out of uncomfortable situations, not for the other person, because that, like, I'm not responsible for the other person's feelings, but honestly, lying about it made it worse. Like, I was always lying to protect myself. So I didn't feel as bad, so I felt more comfortable, like, letting someone down, and that was an insecurity. That was my own insecurity coming into play. And now that I am in a place where I'm more secure, I'm confident in saying, like, I'm just not interested. And I think it's a win-win for everyone. Because if you say that you are and you're not, you're keeping that person from, like, asking out the right person. Yeah, and, like, that's just something that we have so many girlfriends who do lie and, like, make up stuff. And no judgment, no shame. Like, I get it. Like, it's really uncomfortable to tell someone that you're not into them. And I think there are potentially special circumstances where you might fib or lie a little bit to get out of something, and I think every situation's different. It's sometimes people don't have to know everything, but it hurts more to know everything. And in that like sense, I don't go into the details of like why I'm not interested in them. Like, I also don't owe them that, like, I think if someone asked like, hey, what did I do, or what did I do, like, is there something specific, blah blah blah, like, I might go into it a little bit more, but I just always keep it very short and sweet, because at the same time, as much as I want to be a kind and respectful human being, I also don't owe them an explanation of why I'm not interested in them. Yeah. But, just something to keep in mind. Fuck, there was going to be something else that I was going to say along those lines after you said, you you're keeping them from finding their person.
Yeah, and then there was something else. Oh, this is the second time this has happened today. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I think just that it has come up a lot, and our guy friends have said, like, don't lie to him, just, like, be honest. Just, we can take it, we can handle it. Most guys will just be like, okay, cool, and move on with their day.
Yeah.
And you can move on with yours.
I guess sometimes you get lucky, and, like, it naturally fizzles out. Like, the person I was, like, we were going on a couple dates, like, it naturally just fizzled out. Like, we just weren't even texting a lot, so it didn't need, like, no one asked for an explanation. Yeah. So I think if you're lucky enough to have that circumstance, that probably is the best. Like, especially if you've casually, like, gone on, like, a couple dates, and it just naturally, like, but if the person's, like, one is more interested than the other, I do think it's best just to be honest and just say, hey, you're really cool, but I just don't feel that way. I don't want to keep you from finding your person.
Yeah. And on the flip side, if someone does that to you, like if a guy or a girl does text you and tell you, like, hey, I'm just not interested, I think it's really important to remember that you don't get closure from anyone but yourself. Like, if you are really hurt by it, or it, like, took you by surprise, especially if it's been a little bit longer of a dating period, if you guys were a little bit more serious.
You guys have been together like 5 years.
Okay, well, I'm talking like,
hey, I'm just not really feeling this.
I'm just not feeling this anymore. But
that also happens.
In a way, this does apply, but this is more for, like, the casual dating. Like, you've been on a few dates, maybe you've dated, like, 4 months. Let's call it, like, 4 months and under. But, like, because I feel like after 4, that's when you start getting, like, more serious. But, you know, just remembering that you don't get closure from anyone but yourself. So if that person reaches out to you and has the decency to tell you that they're not interested and they'd no longer like to see you, like, of course you can ask, like, can I, you know, why, can we talk about it? And if they're willing to give you more information, great. My advice would be, like, don't take it personally. Again, I think that's, like, a huge theme, is that but I also think it's good to learn from it. Like, if they're giving you constructive, respectful, valuable feedback on, like, what went wrong in the relationship or why they aren't into it or whatever else, like, I think it's super important to take that and pick through what you want. Like, are those things that you're like, I went through his phone every single day. I don't trust him.
Or maybe you weren't authentic. Like, maybe he was attracted to something you were putting off, and then as you continued dating, your authentic self started to come out, and this person's like, oh, that's not what I was attracted to. And if he said, like, I felt like I met a different person at first, maybe it is, okay, well, one, like Paige said, like, pick through what you think is true for you, and there might be things this person tells you, like, I didn't like the way that you texted every day. And if you're like, I like to text every day, then you stick to yourself. Like, there's going to be someone out there that's willing to compromise with you, or, like,
who wants to text every day with you.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least is like, oh, if you like that, I'll do it. Even if it's not my thing, like, I like you enough where I will do that for you. So, like, things like that, you need to stick to your guns. But if it comes to something like they say that to you and you look back on it and you're like, you know, I kind of did put off a different persona when I met them. Like, I was trying really hard to get this person, and then as I got comfortable, I started letting myself out more, and that's not what they were attracted to. So, like, I think there are pieces where if you can reflect and you're like, you know what, I could have done that differently, great. Then you take that as a learning experience. But then also learn that if there are things that they point out that they didn't like, and you're like, well, I really need that.
That's me.
Like,
That's
if you're like, if they're like, I don't want to do a date every Sunday. Like, you love having, like, a date day every Sunday, and they're like, I will not do that. I don't like that you do that. And you leave that relationship, like, I'm not going to feel bad about that. Or maybe they do make you feel bad about it, and you're like, no, I'm not going to. That's something I want.
That's what I want.
Then, like,
then you find guess what, that they were not your person anyway, and you will absolutely find someone.
And then maybe that's something you bring up earlier on when you're dating someone. Like, maybe when things start getting a little more serious, you're becoming exclusive, then you can say, hey, this is something that hasn't worked out in the past, but I want to be forward. Like, this is something that I really need. I'm not willing to compromise a whole lot on it. I don't know, whatever it is. I know the Sunday thing is, like, small, but you know what I mean.
No, but I get what you're saying, though. It's
like, just find out things that you need, and you're like, I can't compromise on that, or I will barely compromise on it, because that's something that I want in a relationship.
So I think it's all about, again, awareness, huge theme of the conversation here, and staying true to your authenticity and not letting other people divert you from what you truly want and desire. And it's so much easier said than done. And I think it's so much easier. It's when you're younger, especially like in your young 20s, from experience, talking to friends, like,
well, I feel like I'm in it now.
I gave up so much of myself in a relationship, and I hated who I was in that relationship. At the time I didn't know, but looking back, I'm like, I was, as much as he was not good to me, and a lot of our problems, a lot of things stemmed from the way that he treated me and the way that he made me feel in the environment that he created. I also don't want to take away from the fact that I did participate in it. It was two-sided in a lot of ways. And, it's like learning to forgive myself in that, but also using it as a tool that I was like, okay, there are certain things that he did and said to me that I will absolutely never tolerate in a relationship ever again. But then there are other things where I'm like, I need to take ownership for the way that I responded, for the way that I poked and prodded, like the sleeping bear, knowing the fight that was going to start, like some of the things that I did that I'm not super proud of myself for. And I realized like those are things that I actively worked on changing in my future relationships and for the past 5 years. And so, we always want to encourage people to continue to look like it was introspectively. You should never be complacent or settle or think that you're perfect, but also don't let people push you around or change your wants and desires.
Yeah.
Like no person is worth changing.
Like if you feel like you're giving up like
part
most
of
the
you,
things you care about, and like parts of you that mean a lot to you, that's probably not, it's not the relationship that you need to be in. And I was definitely in relationships where I didn't like myself in a sense that I was giving up way too much. Like I was just giving and giving, and I was constantly drained, like all the time. And now that's honestly not a reflection of the partners I was with. I enabled it completely. Like it was really on me. And I think if I would have stuck my ground, my partners really wouldn't have cared. But like I did that. Like I entered into those relationships being that way. And now coming out of those relationships and learning, I absolutely do not want to be doing that. Like I'm a giving person. I love to give, but it has to be reciprocated. Like,
yeah.
And what I trying to learn from those relationships once I got out of them, and like I said, I've spent a lot of time in the last year having to heal from pretty much the person I have been, which was just like a very insecure people pleaser. When I meet people now that make me feel like 100% myself, and even more so, or like challenge me a little bit in ways that I'm like, wow, that made me think a little deeper, or that made me realize I do this. I'm like, I like really sit with those feelings, like when I have like with my friends or with you or whatever. And I'm like, okay, if I don't feel like this in my relationship, it's not going to work. Yeah. Like this is what it feels like to be 100% myself.
To be safe and secure in a relationship. Yeah. Like friendship or partnership.
And what's so weird is I thought that was so much to ask for before. Like in a relationship, I thought I had to give up parts of myself and like have to give to that person. And like, I thought being 100% was like selfish, but I do it like most of the people in my life now, I've like done enough work, and I've like, we are just living this amazing life where I feel that way with like I would say almost all of my friends in my life and my family. So I was like, that's not that hard to ask for in a relationship. Like being you is the whole point of it. And so I just think that's interesting. So if you do struggle with that, I like highly encourage you, the people that you do feel 100% authentic around, and you're just like, they don't care, I can say literally whatever and I know that they still love me. Like really be present and sit with that feeling. Be like, this exists. And when I go on dates and when I get serious about someone, if I don't feel this way, if I feel like I'm holding back or I'm having to like twist my opinion a little to please them, then what are you doing?
You're picking your partner, your best friend for the rest of your life. You are picking the person that you are going to spend countless,
like this person is
meals, conversations, sleeps, like a house. You're going to raise kids with them. Again,
if you raise kids,
the whole stereotypical
These are our wants and desires.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you like, but this is what we want.
Thank you. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're inclusive of everyone.
I know.
So
we're here for it. You should do whatever you want with your life, but same
except
goes for
like
us.
kill people, like be a good person.
Well, like I was talking sexually.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you want to be a furry, go for it.
Honestly, no, I'm not getting into that. Can't
But think of all the things that you are committing to do with this person for the rest of your life. So
the rest of your life.
So like if you can't be your most authentic self, your most vulnerable self with this person and feel safe and secure and have fun, it is not your person. And I promise with every, we can make a bet, $100 bet. Like I promise you with every fiber in my being that there is someone else better out there for you. Like if you do not feel safe and secure in your relationship, and this is disclaimer, and you are aware and have self-love and have a healthy relationship with yourself and are working on healing yourself, then it's not the person for you. And why would you want to spend the rest of your life in a relationship with someone that you don't feel safe and secure? Like going back to our friendships, like our friendship, like I know that we could say and do anything and you will love me unconditionally. And well, you could argue that love is conditional. There's no such thing as unconditional love, but
my love for you is pretty unconditional.
Unless you I got married and you slept with my husband or something, that might be the only.
Don't worry, we'll never have to worry about that.
I know.
After talking about our types
we're very different. I know, but I'm just saying, love does have conditions. But even just being around some of our best guy friends, and I know I have passed out and thrown up and done
weird things,
just not been the best version of myself, and they have picked me up and carried me to the condo and loved me regardless, and I know that is the standard for what I want to feel in my partnership, in my relationship. And so I just promise you, if you're not feeling that in your relationship now, it's not going to change. So
in practice in your close relationships now, being authentic. And I have a very hard time being an innate people pleaser, sharing my opinion and being afraid it's going to offend someone or hurt their feelings. I've really struggled with sharing my opinion on things, and I've really tried to embrace that lately, that my opinion isn't going to offend someone that really cares about me, even if we think differently. And if you feel like you can't do that with your partner, that's the whole point, is that you can't, that's the one person, your pillow talk, you talk about all those things. And it's okay if you think differently than them. That's also okay. But I would highly encourage, too, something else that I've learned, that I do practice doing that, usually first with Paige. And I find ways
we don't pillow talk, let me just clarify.
No, we do. In our own little way.
Oh, okay. Okay, Pepe, easy.
And, I just think practicing, and then also there's also right ways to state your opinion. If you come in hot, you might offend someone, but I think practicing how you want to come off, making sure that you are just saying how you feel, and it doesn't even have to be an opinion politically or religiously or whatever, just saying how you feel about something. I hate hot salsa, I don't know, whatever.
I think runny egg yolk is absolutely disgusting.
Just saying your opinion, and especially on a date, that's the time to do it. You have to find out if this person could be your person, and if you can't share your opinion and you're just kind of agreeing with everything they're saying, or sugarcoating everything you feel, how are they supposed to get to know you? So anyways, I highly recommend in your current close relationships, practice ways to share your opinion and to bring out your authentic self in a way that feels good, and then you can leave a date even if someone's I don't agree with you at all, this isn't gonna work. You can come back from that being I was myself, I didn't say anything rude or offensive, I was strictly being me. Because I think I've also come in kind of hot with an opinion because I'm very passionate, and then I'm okay, I didn't really like the way I said that. There's better there's better ways to rephrase it. Anyways, practice makes perfect.
So with that, we're gonna end the episode, but
yeah, that is truly all.
We're done. This is the last one.
Yeah, last episode. Final paychecks coming out today.
We're getting paid. All right. Go find love.